Yes.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, everything works. Hello. Hello, you good people, friends, lovers. Thank you for joining us. This is 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir. Bones Nasir has been retired.
Well, he's back in his grave now.
He is. His favorite place to be. Halloween is over. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, you good people. Today is November 5th, 2023. The 309th day. 309. Nobody ever leaves apartment 309. 867-5309. Then 309th day of 2023. After today, you have got 56 days left in this year to make 2023 your best year yet. Now, Christmas is the time to say I love you. Christmas is in 50 days. You have 50 days to figure out how you want to say I love you to the Christmas people in your life. I'm ready. I am ready to get in the Christmas mood. I'm ready to reread Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol and keep the spirit of Christmas past, present, and future all through the year. But maybe not. Maybe you're not ready for that. The great thing about holidays, as I said in my lecture, Weekends and Holidays, you get to do holidays however you want. Get those earplugs if you don't want to hear Mariah Carey yet. Put it off. Shake it off. That's right.
I'm trying to slowly kind of get into it and ease into it. I don't know. It's just November is the dark month, and it's still kind of spooky to me.
It is. It's still a little bit of we call them the autumn blues, as the days get short. Going to off of daylight savings time isn't helping. And I don't mean to say that I'm in favor of daylight savings time. I just want them to stop. Stop switching. Pick one, pick the other. I don't care. But yes, last night you got an extra hour of sleep. Oh, yay. Well, and this morning, of course, if you have any analog clocks left, you got to fix all of those, or any other digital clocks that aren't connected to the internet. Our phones all fix themselves automatically. Some of our appliances do that too. Crazy stuff. Anyway, Thanksgiving. It's the month of gratitude. I hope you are finding something every day. Gratitude exercise at the end of every day. 3 things that you are grateful for. 3 things that went well. Thanksgiving, well, wherever we celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope they do around the world now, but here in the States, it's in 18 days, Turkey Day. It's that time of the year to remind yourself just how much you love pumpkin pie and whipped cream. We all know the correct amount of whipped cream for a slice of pumpkin pie is more.
1-to-1 or 2-to-1 in favor of whipped cream.
I would say the answer is just more. Yes. Thanksgiving in 18 days. So yeah,
I'm grateful for the fact that New Orleans still exists and it's still doing well, and they still have tourism and an economy, and they still have the Mardi Gras Indians, and they still have all kinds of really good food and wonderful music.
So you want to go back to New Orleans soon?
It'd be nice.
Yes. Well, and then it fits the Halloween holiday we just had. They're such revelers, such partiers. That's what we're going to talk about. I have the Skull and Swords mug, the Jolly Roger mug, which kind of still goes with Halloween. The back of the mug says R.
R.
What is a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? Of course, it's the C. Oh, yes. R. Yes, if anybody asks, Halloween is in 361 days. So there you go. Hope you all had a great Halloween. We certainly did. Talked about it on the Facebooks, on the social networks. You can find out how it went, but it was good. Not a lot of trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, it was
but
less
some.
Than it was not more than 20. It was less than 20, but more than 12, which was our previous year.
That's true.
So
it was even coming out of COVID. I mean, it was just, and we live in a neighborhood where there's not a lot of trick-or-treating houses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're on a block where more houses are dark than lit. And, if you're a trick-or-treater, you want to go to the places where all the houses are lit up.
It was very cold, so there were a lot of kids coming in with just cars. So I don't know if they were coming from the inner city or if they were coming just from Livonia, or other areas around here. But
Yeah.
It was interesting because that kept everybody warm.
Yeah. Jeff Bannister apparently lives in a decent neighborhood, a trick-or-treating kind of neighborhood. I know a lot of nice neighborhoods, and what happens is we get they do trunk or treat or some other kind of Halloween party, and
I am convinced that trunk or treat is a Christian attempt to destroy Halloween.
Really?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be safer, and it's supposed to be, with your community that it goes to church or something. And
I do know some of them are done in churches, but some are done in community centers.
That's true. That's true.
They're kind of not religious. I don't know if they're very pagan, but anyway, yeah, I'm glad Jeff had such a good Halloween. Robin says, never had pumpkin pie. Now,
well, you got to try it.
I have a number of objectivist friends, and if the shoe fits, you can wear this one with my compliments, who are kind of pessimistic about the world. And I'm starting to realize that the reason they're pessimistic isn't the war, it isn't politics, it isn't Donald Trump or Joe Biden. It's because they've actually just missed out on a few things in life, and pumpkin pie is one of those. If you've never had pumpkin pie, in fact, we'll talk about a few things.
Or pumpkin spice.
Okay. If you've never had pumpkin spice, but especially if you've never had pumpkin pie, this is the year. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. This is the year you finally try pumpkin pie.
Amazing.
I know. You're like, I don't want pumpkin pie. Doesn't look good. It looks like brown mash in a pie pan. It is so good. You've got to have it. You've got to try it. Make it happen. Thanksgiving's in 18 days. And on this date, speaking of November 5th, of course, try to remember the 5th of November. I don't know how those two songs got mixed up, but
Happy Bonfire Night, everybody in the UK.
It is Bonfire Night. It is the date of the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, the Jesuit Treason. In fact, there was a great post by Andrea Shoemaker earlier. I've got to put this up on the screen. Here we go. It's Guy Fawkes Day. There you go. Celebrate Guy Fawkes Day authentically by establishing a Catholic theocracy in your area. I love that. I just loved that one. I couldn't resist.
No thanks.
Because of movies like V for Vendetta and generally because of kind of the crazy anarchist libertarians that we're all too familiar with, we kind of romanticize Guy Fawkes Day. Oh, it's a day of independence. It's a day we were going to say, no more king. No, we're going to be able to think the way we want, which really meant we're going to be able to worship. We're going to be able to be Catholics and not have to go to the Church of England, the C of E. I like Amanda's version better. Celebrate Guy Fawkes Day authentically by establishing a Catholic theocracy in your area.
Well, that's what the trunk-or-treaters are doing.
Yeah, resist. They need that resist bumper sticker that used to be so popular.
Yeah.
I really miss it when the left were resist. They were anti-authoritarian.
They were like, no justice, no peace. So you have to have justice in order to have peace.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Man, those were the days, my friend. Good to see that the chat is active. Thank you all for being here. I do have one eye on the Facebook side. Hello, Petya and Jim, as well as the YouTube side. And I know Amy is engaging as well. Thank you for being here. It is also, again, Daylight Savings Day, but...
Well, it's the end of it.
It's the end of it. So we get off of Daylight Savings Time.
Why?
Why? So I have, as always, in the show notes are already posted on YouTube. Look in the YouTube description, all the links that you need and want, but I have posted as usual, even though you all have already seen it, my favorite movie trailer, the movie trailer for Saving Daylight. You have to watch that if you haven't yet. And if you've already seen it, you probably want to see it again.
It's great.
It's the craziest thing. Yeah, in fact, I have a picture here. There you go. Saving Daylight. Save 1 million tons of coal by using an extra hour of daylight. We have this idea that, at least in the United States, daylight savings was for the farmers. And there were farmers who argued in favor of it, but no, it was much bigger. It had a bigger thumbprint than that, which is why it has been so hard to get rid. Look at that. I mean, it's Uncle Sam, but it almost looks like something out of Soviet Russia. It's like, what the hell? So, yeah, daylight savings time, or the change to daylight savings time, again, whichever standard you want, standard time, daylight time, pick one and don't change it, and count on people to do it for themselves. Yeah. You know how to say let us do it in French? Laissez faire. Laissez faire nous. So, enough of that.
I think so. John is on Facebook and he's correcting us. It's not plural.
Yeah, it's not. That's a line from the.
Yeah, that's a line from.
I love that. Yes.
So good. But we have a lot of people from the UK in the YouTube chat here.
Yeah, and they beat us by a week.
If any of you are celebrating Guy Faukes Night with a bonfire and perhaps some kind of drink or I don't know, whatever it is, I'm not entirely sure. Tell me how you celebrate it. Do you actually go out in the street?
Celebrate Guy Faukes Night, bonfire night.
Have a bonfire? Do you make s'mores? Are s'mores American? Do you roasting marshmallows? I don't know what you do, but
yeah.
Tell me what you do with a bonfire.
By my best understanding, it is ahistorical, and I mean not his history, but unhistorical. But I'm also all in favor of repurposing things, and that was so long ago. And you could argue both sides bad. So, yeah, celebrate whatever. If it means independence, if it means resistance to authority, you go for it. And yeah, share in the chat. How do you celebrate Guy Faukes Night?
It goes along with it's just the whole thing about Halloween. I think it's just an extension of Halloween, in my opinion. It's just, you've got ghosts and ghouls and goblins running around, and you set on you get the bonfires out and you scare them all away.
Yeah, and put on your Guy Fawkes mask.
You make noise to scare all the ghosts away and all that good stuff.
Yeah, or Guy Faux mask.
Fake
was
Guy
it Anna Faux who was part of the apparently it was really spelled F-A-U-X but pronounced Fox because they're not French. So
there you are.
Yeah. I've got a whole page here on do all U.S. states observe daylight saving time? And no, Hawaii and Arizona don't, with the exception of the Navajo Nation, which does. And then there's a bunch of protectorates: American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, home of Yarren Brook. Incidentally, we will be wrapping up before the top of the hour because Yarren goes live at the top of the hour, and I want to hear this one. It's going to be good. And the Virgin Islands. I still am suspicious about the Virgin Islands and that name, but maybe. Anyway.
Why is it called the Virgin Islands? I don't know.
Well, I assume they're all virgins.
Well, the islands were never actually stepped upon by human feet. Is that
Sounds much more innocent than what I had in mind. Yeah. So by my reading, the U.S. is not ending daylight saving anytime soon, though there is an effort in the federal government to pass a so-called Sunshine Protection Act, which would make the daylight standard permanent. Again, I don't care. Yeah, choose the summer standard if that makes more sense, but just make it permanent, please.
Oh, we've got some funny...
what do we got?
Oh, funny. So, Jim on Facebook, he says, why don't you... So this is about November being so dark. Yes. Why don't you do what Ishmael does in Moby Dick? Whenever it is a damp, drizzly November in my soul, I account it high time to get to sea as soon as I can.
That's right.
Get to the beach.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Except we're in Michigan and the beaches are all closed. I don't know, maybe that 4-mile turnabout is open because it's not really official. There's no lifeguards, there's no management. Maybe we could drive up there and go to the beach. We've swam in Lake Superior, and even in the middle of summer, it's 45 degrees in there. So there's no such thing as too cold.
Yeah. So, also Jim says he's quoting that daylight savings thing again. Where can we go? To a place where daylight savings does not exist. It's called Arizona.
There you go. All right, a couple quick happy birthdays. Happy birthday to Bryan Guy Adams, or Guy Adams. Yes, Bryan Adams, OCOBC. We were watching the new Beatles video recently, and I'm loving the new Beatles video. It's not my favorite of the new songs. I actually liked Real Love and Free as a Bird better, but it's amazing. It's amazing what they're doing.
It's good.
Amazing, especially because Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are still around, and I'm loving that.
And they're not decrepit. They're energetic. No. They're active. They're doing all sorts of cool things.
If you've seen the video, I don't know if you realize Paul McCartney is 81. Will we still love him when he's 64? He's 81. And if that's not crazy enough, look at Ringo, who looks even more youthful than Paul McCartney. He's 83. He's 2 years older.
Amazing. That's amazing.
I'm loving it. And yeah, we lost George and we lost John, and
but
arguably...
you need to watch the video for Then and Now.
Yes,
by
watch
the Beatles.
that.
Go on to YouTube, after this.
Yeah, watch the 12-minute, which shows some making of, and
yes.
watch that video. The link is in the show notes, right in the YouTube description for that.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's referencing Guy Fawkes Day. And so, you know what? I've never actually seen V for Vendetta, the movie.
Ooh,
we
wow,
should,
super intense.
We should probably watch that.
I didn't see that with you?
No.
Must have seen it with maybe my daughter.
Yeah. But
yeah, very intense.
And Equal to Reality says that, they don't have, what they eat, I guess, around the bonfire or during this night or day is a toffee apple. Toffee apple. That sounds so much more delicious than a caramel apple, but I have a feeling it's probably the same thing.
Probably.
I like toffee, though. Yeah, so...
That sounds good, because I didn't have lunch. I'm hungry.
Yeah, you are hungry, yeah.
So let's wrap this up quick.
Well, real quick, though,
Yeah.
Apollo says, so they have bonfires,
Good.
fireworks, and sparklers.
Sparklers, okay.
And they make a guy, and I'm assuming that means make an effigy of Guy Fawkes and maybe burn it or something, or...
You're going to have to tell us what is making a guy, or a guy if you're French.
Yeah.
I still say Guy Francon.
Yes, Guy Francon, yes. Woo.
Yes. I don't know. Is there an interview somewhere where Ayn Rand actually says Guy Francon or Guy Francon's name? I guess we should find out how it was meant to be. The reason why I thought of the Beatles video is because Bryan Adams, Brian Guy Adams, Guy Fawkes, Guy Adams. That's a coincidence I didn't even catch as I was putting these notes together. He's an OC and an OBC. He's a member of the Order of Canada. He's Canadian. I was getting a kick out of, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr are knights. They're not literally knights, but they're members of the Order of the British Empire, OBE. And, John Lennon famously gave his medals back because he didn't like what Britain was doing politically at the time. And the Crown, I'm sure it wasn't the Queen, but the Crown responded amusedly and said, well, he's welcome to give the medals back. That doesn't change his title once established. It can only be rescinded by the Queen. So John Lennon was still a member of the Order of the British Empire, but Bryan Guy Adams actually is a member of the Order of Canada. So he is Sir Bryan Adams, if they say that in Canada. Also a member of the Order of British Columbia. So super cool. I know Jeff, for example, is out there in America's hat. I mean, in the country Canada, so yeah, we celebrate Bryan Adams. It's interesting because he was kind of a pop rock musician, did the kind of gruff, cool, kind of cute guy stuff. But he's actually kind of an amazing musician. Read a little of his history. He got his first guitar when he was 12 years old.
Oh, nice.
He had a great love of music, of guitars.
Did he get his first six-string at the Five and Dime when he was 12?
I don't know. There's a story of when he got his first Les Paul style guitar. He had been playing Stratocaster earlier, but the Les Paul was the cool thing. It's a great story. Mm-hmm. But just look at the music that he's produced. And one of the fun things is the song, which might sound a little schmaltzy, but it's one of those songs where it's extremely sentimental. And if you're willing to sit and listen to it, ideally loud, the song, Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? Oh, it's amazing. It's an amazing piece of work if you're not just hearing it on a pop radio station. So good. And I love that song was used in the very quirky Johnny Depp film, Don Juan DeMarco.
Oh, that was a good film.
It was, one of Marlon Brando's last stand. Yeah, Faye Dunaway was in that. If you've never seen Don Juan DeMarco, and if you have to have a taste both for romance and for the whimsical to appreciate that movie, I think. But if you do, Don Juan DeMarco, well worth seeing if you like Johnny Depp, if you like Marlon Brando, if you like Bryan Adams, because it does feature that song. So happy birthday, Bryan Adams, 64 years old today. I love that all three of the birthdays we're celebrating today are people who are still alive. Art Garfunkel, happy birthday to Art Garfunkel, 81 years old. I know he was eclipsed a little bit when Paul Simon went solo and had an amazing career, but Art Garfunkel, Sound of Silence, Bridge Over Troubled Water. My favorite, of course, the whimsical song Cecilia. from Simon and Garfunkel. Happy birthday, Art Garfunkel is 81 years old today. And finally, the youngest of the three, it is Tatum O'Neal's birthday. She is 60. If you've never seen the film Paper Moon...
I haven't, actually.
And it was just so charming to see, Ryan O'Neal in a movie with his daughter. And it's super cute, very funny, fairly touching. I haven't seen it since I was younger. I probably need to watch it again. But happy birthday to Tatum O'Neal. 60 years old today. I'll always think of her as a little girl because she had such a great career as a young actress. Okay, that's it. That's it for this date, November 5th. Except we're going to talk a little bit about what we did this week. First of all, we did a couple of shows this week. We were on the reality show, each of us one time.
I feel like it's, deja vu, or as Jim Ashley said.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is the links are in the show notes. And they were good appearances. But right now, the Ayn Rand Center UK, which hosts the reality show, is in a all war, all the time mode. And it's good. It's good to be talking about what's going on in the Middle East. But we're tossing around some ideas for expanding our own repertoire.
Yeah.
We need to do more interviews.
Yeah, let us know who you'd like us to interview.
Yes.
Please.
We've got a couple people in mind, but we need more. We may even do a weekly interview show on Thursdays, which is the day we would usually have done Life on Earth. But the Ayn Rand Center UK isn't doing our show Life on Earth. They're not doing any shows other than two shows. The reality show, I was about to say the reality check, but that's Mark Pellegrino's set of shorts. Mark, incidentally, will be in town next weekend.
Mm-hmm. We might actually see him. I don't know.
We might see him. Maybe we'll interview him.
Perhaps.
Maybe we'll interview him on the show. We'll see how that goes. But no, the reality show and the Daily Objective. So, yeah, we're looking at expanding, doing more. Could happen real soon. Also this week, I want to point out that there was a good episode of Yar and Brooke Show, the AMA yesterday, and it was good because I was on there. It's funny because we've always contributed to Yaron and supported his shows and helped make some of his appearances happen and all that, but I was never on the monthly contributors list. I joined a few months ago, and so I actually went on one of those AMAs that are just for the monthly contributors. And it turns out, I love listening to Yar and Brooke. Everybody should listen to Yar and Brooke. But I don't really have any questions for him. It's the weirdest thing. Maybe I've just been in philosophy too long. I just no, you do your thing. He's great. I love watching him. We great insights.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just... I have questions for him, but, I think of Yar and Brooke as more of a, I don't know, just a jack of all trades kind of person.
Yeah.
But he's really excellent. Obviously, he's extremely intelligent, bright, and knows a lot about many things. But
yes, one of his critics has engaged with me recently through the chats and also online. And I've made the point, there is nobody out there who is better at what he does.
Yeah.
Aaron Brooke.
It's very true.
Within what he's doing, what he's trying to do, there's just nobody better at it. I would love to say I am better at what he does, and I'm not. I can't do politics at the level that he does it.
Yeah,
I can't even do philosophy at his level in the way that he does it.
Right.
He has a different project than I do, but he is the best. Mm-hmm. If you think I'm wrong, you tell me in the chat. Who is better at being a public, objectivist, intellectual?
Yeah.
There are people who go a lot deeper. Harry Binswanger is great. Mm-hmm. Greg Salmieri knows things about philosophy. I'm sure Yarenberg doesn't. There are people, who are great at what they do, but in terms of being a general spokesman for philosophy,
yeah,
as good as it gets. So, huge shout out to Yarenberg. Also, the Ayn Rand Institute's video, Did Israel Steal Palestinian Land? I was kind of amazed that when they finally released Nikos Sotirakopoulos' video from Ocon 2023. It took place earlier this year, but they released it after the war started, and within 7 days he had 500,000 or 250,000 views. That's amazing. It's the fourth most watched video they've ever produced, and he did that in a week. Well, he had a conversation with Ilan Journo on the topic, Did Israel Steal Palestinian Land? And that one has eclipsed the Nikos video.
Yeah.
Nikos and Ilan are past 1.5 million views. So, link to that one is in the show notes, worth taking a look. But it's war, and war is depressing. Now,
it is, but I'm really, 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 really happy. So I want to say some things that I'm very grateful for.
Good.
So we live in southeast Michigan, where there's quite a large number of Muslims who live here.
That's right. Dearborn is practically a suburb, or not even a suburb. It's part of Motown, part of Detroit.
Yeah.
It's half of it is surrounded by the city of Detroit, and we are right down the block.
Yeah. And we even have Muslim neighbors across the street. We haven't met them yet.
That's true. They just moved in.
But
strange.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like beating on our doors with holding machetes or anything, So but the thing is that there are a lot of good Muslim people around here. They may have extraordinarily bad political views. They may be even perhaps immoral in that way. But I mean, in terms of judging them, judging people in that situation, people that you go to the gas station and you've got somebody there who worships Islam, but he's gonna do his best to make sure that your customer experience is the best. So anyway, it's I'm just very, very happy that things haven't gotten out of hand. That the people here are not really wanting to blow each other up or blow other people up, things like that. I'm glad that they don't seem to be cultists in their behavior in that way.
No. It's funny, when now I'm forgetting the name of the movement that was saying complaining about toxic masculinity. There was an expression that was in use that was considered bad. Believe all women. And the men fought back. The men had their own expression, and their expression was #not all men. And the idea being that not all men engage in toxic masculinity, not all men are potential rapists, not all men are harassing you sexually at work, not all men are doing these terrible things that presumably enough men are doing that there's a movement against it. And I feel like in 2023, living in down the street from Dearborn, Michigan, I don't know, maybe I need a hashtag that says not all Muslims.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Because you're right. There's a lot of people in America, they're Muslims, but they're Americans. And they're very American and reasonable and civil.
They're here to live life. They're not here to see other people die.
Yeah, they're not like what we're seeing in the Middle East.
Right.
And if they're wrong on the Middle East issue, and Lord knows a lot of them are, we're in the 12th district in Michigan, so Rashida Tlaib is our representative. Not just of the state of Michigan, but actually our district.
Yeah,
we did not vote for her.
I got to call her up and
we got to straighten her out.
Talk to her. See where her head's at. She's been my best friend.
So I'm glad we're talking about the war, because I've got folks who are saying, okay, Robert, I know you're very optimistic. You're a very optimistic person. You're like all about, live your values regardless of what's going on in the world. But look what's going on in the world. And I totally get that. But here's the thing. I got to stop using the expression, here's the thing, because Alec Baldwin uses that one on his podcast. And I feel like it should be trademarked and copyrighted. It's like Tony Robbins used to say, live with passion. And I'm like, that's a great phrase, except now he's already using it. But here's the thing. If there wasn't a war going on right now, when there wasn't a war going on right now, people were telling me, well, Robert, you're all about optimism, and go out and live your values despite what's going on, but don't you realize Donald Trump might be the next president of the United States? Or the Donald Trump fans have been telling me, Joe Biden might be the next president of the United States. He might get reelected. But if it wasn't for that, when that wasn't the thing, people were saying, Robert, you say like you should live your life and enjoy your values despite everything going on, but don't you realize what's going on with BLM? Don't you see what Black Lives Matter is doing to the world? And before that, it was Occupy Wall Street. And before that, there was always a reason. Well, I can't really live I'm working and I'm doing stuff, but I can't really live as if this is a great world and I can really pursue my passions and live my values so long as the Middle East, the presidential election, what the FDA is doing with regard to COVID. I don't mean to minimize all of those things. They're all big, they're all bad, they all matter, there are all things to fight there, and you want to be engaged with that. But that will always be the case. It's funny, growing up, Amy, this will resonate with you.
Tell me.
Folks listening, this will resonate with you. If I know my audience, I know this will resonate with you. Growing up, I was different.
I wasn't different.
a bit of an introvert. A bit of an outsider, at least to the mainstream, like quote-unquote normal people. And had the sense that people who like grew up and went to college and went out and got a good corporate job or a job in a large firm, making good money, and bought nice cars and got married and had lavish weddings and worked their way up and did all the usual things and were fairly happy, but they were missing out. They were missing out on something. They weren't as independent as they should be. They weren't as first-handed in their thinking as they should be. They didn't question authority the way that I did. But the older I got, the more I realized, yeah, but they're out there living their lives. They're not saying, oh my God, look at the philosophy of the world. I got to be miserable about this, and I shouldn't be enjoying my house and my car and my wife and my children and my vacations and sports and entertainment and music, and I shouldn't be enjoying any of those things because, oh my God, look at the world. Now, the old expression, ignorance is bliss. That's wrong. That's a bad expression. But you can see where it comes from. And I'll say this because I haven't gotten to say it for several weeks.
Wow, several weeks.
What haven't I gotten to say for several weeks? What haven't I done for several weeks since the Ayn Rand Center UK no longer hosts my show until the war ends? If anybody should be living their values, if anybody should be happy, if anybody should be able to look at what's going on in the world and say, yes, I will fight that, but despite that, it will only go down to a certain point. Or to steal Dagny's words, we never had to take any of it seriously, did we? To which our hero responds, no, we never had to.
Yeah.
We are here to live a life and not just to not die. And no matter what else is going on in the world, you need to get yourself to a movie theater and do not see the film What Happens Later.
What was it, later or next? I forget.
Oh, was it next?
I don't know.
What happens next? Yeah. No, later.
Later, you're right.
Yeah, later. If anybody knows Meg Ryan, the queen of the rom-com, the romantic comedy, great films in the past. You've got Mail, When Harry Met Sally. All of those Meg Ryan charming films. French Kiss was my favorite one.
Yeah, that's
with
great.
Kevin Kline. That one was actually really sweet. The ones of Billy Crystal tended to be a mix of snark and romance, which some people thought was clever, cute. Jim Ashley says, Paper Moon was good, charming, funny, and had excellent black and white photography. That's right, because it's a period piece, so that made sense. I'll always remember the repeated line, eat your Coney Island, drink your knee-high. Knee-high. You used to drink knee-high, didn't you?
Yoo-hoo.
Oh, Yoo-hoo, okay.
Strawberry Yoo-hoo.
Okay, very good. Sorry about that. Yeah. So do not see that. Oh my God, it was so bad, we walked out.
Unbelievably inane.
We paid good money to see this movie.
Gray and
20 minutes into it, we're looking at each other like, no, this is not working.
I couldn't believe it.
Now 25 minutes in, we're at AMC, which is, multiplex in America, a movie theater. So I get on my phone, and it's bad form to look at your cell phone in a movie theater. But this film is so bad, and there's few enough people in the theater, nobody cares, nobody's going to notice. I actually got on my phone, got on the AMC app, ordered tickets for the 8 o'clock, which was coming up, showing of the Taylor Swift concert film,
Woo!
The Eras Tour. Now, I am not a Swiftie.
Me neither.
Now, some of you, if you also aren't, you might not even know what that means. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, much less somebody who identifies with her everything.
I'll tell you what, before we go into that, so we were at the concession stand waiting for some food, and we just saw long lines of people coming in, mainly women and young girls and younger girls wearing sparkly dresses and looking, made up. And I thought to myself, this is great. You have all these people coming in. They're wearing, nice clothes. They look joyful in anticipation of something. And it was the Swiftie, Taylor Swift Eras Tour film. 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And so a lot of people were coming in for the 7 o'clock show. And I kind of wish that we had gone to that, but we ended up going to this Meg Ryan, Dave Duchovny thing, which was the most, truly,
what were they thinking?
The most boring thing I've ever seen.
It was a crime. The last film that I walked out on that I can remember was the film Mafia! Which was a comedy in the vein of Airplane, some of the same people.
But it was stupid and it just fell flat and the comic timing was not there. It didn't work, and
it was fart jokes and penis jokes, and
it was just lame-o.
Lame.
And this was so.
This didn't have any jokes. It was just two people talking in a they were snarky manner to each other.
They hadn't seen each other since high school or college or whatever, and
at least in the first 25 minutes of the film, you've got to imagine this. They're in an airport, so there are scenes where you can see other people walking around in the background. Eventually, they get to a section of the airport where they're just sitting with just the two of them and all these empty chairs, but there is no dialogue with anybody else. It's 25 minutes of just these two people talking to each other.
They're just kind of bickering, talking about what they don't like. I don't like this. Well, what do you not like? Oh, I don't like this. Oh, it was just... Anyway, don't go see it. Save yourself.
And there are films, and Jim Ashley, for example, knows because he's reviewed them. There are films that are primarily dialogue between two people, and it can be done well. It can be brilliant. It can be hilarious. This was none of that. Anyway, walk out. If you catch yourself being drawn, you will know what I'm talking about. So
we Robert gets a couple of tickets for us for the 8 o'clock showing of
Now, Amy,
Taylor
you
Swift.
wanted to sneak in.
Well, I thought
this film is so bad, we'll just leave this one and go to something else. If it had been a normal movie, I would have done that too, just because of the value of what we spent on those tickets. Mm-hmm. It turns out, though, if you're going to go see the Eras Tour concert film, it's actually more expensive. Mm-hmm. For example, we are members of the AMC. We get cheaper tickets or one free one a month, whatever it is. I don't even know. But none of that applies, and everything costs twice as much. So if you want to go see it, you got to pony up. So that's what we did. And it was great. It was a great concert. It was extraordinarily well performed. The engineering is unbelievable. What is done not just with the lights, but with the physical staging. The performances, now, I'm a rock and roller. Yeah. A rock musician. I don't normally like seeing people on stage who aren't musicians. What are they doing there? Well, they're dancers. I didn't come to see people dance. I came to see a rock concert. This justified it. It was a rock concert with dancers. It wasn't like watching, an R&B concert where it's as much about the dance as it is about the music. It was integrated. It was theatrical. It was theatrical.
And in ways that you would never even think it would be, because the technology and the way that the stage was set up and the kinds of tech that they used, my God, you got to go see it. I know it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long. There's a part where I would say you can kind of slip out. They had like this big snake effect on the stage or whatever, and right after that you can sneak out and have a little break. But because I don't know, there were some. Taylor Swift writes about anything and everything about romance and relationships.
Well, she writes about her life, so there's a lot of love songs and a lot of breakup songs.
Self-affirmation and things like that, which is nice. Some of it, I'll say this off the bat, it's overproduced. It doesn't, the dance beats are not syncopated enough. For my liking anyway as a dancer. And some of the lyrics are focused on revenge and jealousy and getting back at your ex or whatever, which I'm like, that is just lame-o to me. I don't like that at all. But other than that, and that was just a small portion of it. The rest of it was, I mean, if you didn't like, I didn't really like all of the music, number one. But while I wasn't liking the music, it didn't really grate on me or annoy me terribly. But I was in awe of the dancing. I was in awe of the production. I was in awe of Taylor Swift's really genuine and powerful relationship to the audience that she has. And her charisma and she's very good at it and very lovely at it, and it's a pleasure and a joy to see. She's sort of like the girl next door maid extraordinary. She's sort of like Cheryl Brooks if she had never run into that creep James, and if she was a pop star and a musician and a songwriter. I mean, Taylor Swift is kind of like Cheryl Brooks. The one of the themes of her songs, which I find very interesting because this isn't really sung about, is the idea of as a young woman, as a woman in your 20s and 30s, now you have the freedom to go out and have as many boyfriends as you want, to play the field, to learn about your own what you like and what you don't like in a relationship. You don't have to go out and just have an instant fairy tale by the time you're 21 or whatever it is. You can actually do this without being looked down upon, because we all know that there are some double standards with regard to that. And she was just such a force of nature and such a creative powerhouse in all of this. And the stamina was amazing. The energy was fantastic. There was something for everybody. And like I say, if you don't like kind of that repetitive sort of pop music, there is an acoustic set that she does where she plays acoustic guitar and piano. And she actually sings with a really good amount of feeling. And I really appreciated that part. Yep. There's more I can say about it. One of the other things is that I really think she tapped into celebrating being a girl, celebrating being a woman, celebrating being, you could see so many young girls in the audience who were just going bananas and screaming and like almost fainting. And it was, it was such a joy. But she reminded me of sort of like living vicariously through her in terms of playing dress up as a little girl. So for any of you girls out in the audience, or anybody whoever did this when you were a little, when you were a small child, you played dress up. You had, especially if you had a full length mirror, and you could dress yourself up and do all sorts of interesting and creative things with the clothes that you had and the makeup maybe that you had or didn't have. And it was enormously fun. It was so playful, and I think playfulness was a big part of her performance, her style, her attitude, her approach. So I would say, even if you don't like her music, go see this, because it's a great benevolent shot in the arm. And and you will be uplifted, at least to some extent, if not a lot.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary film, an extraordinary performance. For the rock musicians out there, she does actually play instruments during parts of it. You mentioned there's an acoustic set, but there's actually 2 sections where she kind of lets the band do their own thing while she's playing guitar or playing piano. And that's good to see. And she's not just doing it for effect. She's just engaging with the music, which again, as a musician, for me is great. I hate backing tracks. I loathe and despise anything artificial just to make it more of a spectacle. But there was real earnestness in this. It was really something. But you mentioned her audience. Her audience, what's interesting about the Taylor Swift audience is that there's a surprising amount of nerdiness there. Of people who aren't different than the people that you would see at a Madonna concert or a Beyonce concert or just classically big dance, big production. No, these are people, a lot of nerdy people, or some of the arguably less attractive people who are embracing life, who are, again, going back to what I said earlier, they're stepping out of their introversion. Mm-hmm. And you can read about it online. You can look at forums. It comes across on Facebook. There are people who want to live larger because of what they get from this music and from these performances. And that's really what I want to share today. In fact, it's my post-it note for the week. My note to myself says, live large. You watch this movie and you think, I need a little more strut. I need a little more swagger.
More confidence.
I need to say yes more often and do things more often.
Yes.
And show up. Show up for things. Say yes. Don't just sit at home. Don't just miss out on opportunities. And if there aren't opportunities, make opportunities. It's the kind of film, and there are other concerts like this, other presentations like this, that make you want that. If this isn't the one that does that for you, I heartily recommend that you find the ones that do. The music, the art, the entertainment, you can find this in sports, that makes you want to be more of who you are, that makes you want to live larger. Despite
your insecurities or despite the things that you have to overcome. And the thing is that, the one thing I was going to say is I actually wrote a post on this on Facebook, and I mentioned constantly the confidence, optimism, ingenuity, and the optimism in a special sense, which is even if you go through a number of bad relationships, even if you have a number of failures in whatever you're doing, you can still rectify things. You can still pick yourself back up and go forward, move forward, and have a sense of optimism about, what, I've learned this from this experience. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And that is that was a very unique aspect to Taylor Swift in the content of what she wrote, in her music, in her attitude. Even if you have terribly failed romantic relationships, and she has, I suppose, although I don't know, I think people in the media are way too up in her business right now, and I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, this is what, and again.
But, yeah, it's just her optimism and strength and confidence is wonderful.
I'm not a fan. I knew 3 songs. One of them Christopher Smith mentioned in the chat.
Yes.
I knew 3 of the songs that she sang vaguely. I mean, amazing show. And I told you I would tie it all together. Paul McCartney is 81 years old. Ringo Starr is 83 years old. Taylor Swift is in her early 30s. This is joie de vivre. This is a lust for life. These are people who are living values at the same time as a lot of us are saying, well, what about the politics? What about the news? What about the war? Again, all of those things matter. And if you want to look at somebody who's doing something about it all, look at Paul McCartney's charitable contributions, and I don't just mean he throws money in an altruistic way. He does amazing things for people.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Taylor Swift is inspiring people to live their own best lives.
Yes.
These are people with juice. These are people.
Yeah.
I mentioned the older guys because, I recently hit a milestone birthday. I won't say which ones, but you get to a certain age where it would be easier to say no to stuff. It would be easier to stay on the couch. It would be easier just not, you wake up in the morning and things ache more than they used to. Well, we got up this morning, we went to the gym. And that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take.
Yes, it's great.
Because, I just can't watch a show like that and not say, oh, man, I want that. I want more. I want a strut. I want swagger. I want more oomph, more joie de vivre, more lust for life.
This is a woman. This is a human being who started writing songs at the age of 17 or however it was. And she kept going, I'm sure, with encouragement from her mother and the people around her, which is great, but she's the one who did this. She's the one who made it. She's the one who put all this creativity into it. Of course, she has some collaborators, yes, but this is her vision. She extended it out to this enormously elaborate concert. You think of, I kept thinking of Super Bowls, the concerts at Super Bowls.
The halftime shows.
The halftime shows, yeah.
Yeah, this is like 3.5 hours of that, except so much better than anything I've seen at the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh! I
say 3.5. I meant 2 3/4 is what it was.
Yeah. But so we have a pretend super chat.
Is playfulness a virtue? Apollo Zeus wants to know. The short answer is yes.
Yes.
It's mandatory, but the real answer is it depends on what you mean by playfulness. It would be one of those derivative virtues, not a primary virtue, like courage and confidence. And
I think it has a lot to do with integrity, with being congruous, with being yourself, having your own style. And I think, there's a certain, in a certain context, it's related to justice, in terms of being playful around those people who deserve it. Maybe even being playful in front of an audience who deserve to hear your music or your performance.
Yeah, we may have to have Chris Land on the show, the man who wrote the book on humor, because playfulness is a conditional virtue. Depends on when you are playful, when you are light, when you are laughing. So
it's not so much about content. It's more about method. It's more about style. If you
It ain't what you do, it's how that you do it.
Yeah. And it is something, is benevolence a virtue? In certain situations, sure. Is, laughter virtue? Yes, in certain situations, like you said about humor. But yeah, it's certainly something to look for. And there was a lot of it last night. And I was, and on top of that, one last thing is that the audience behind us. So we didn't. This was the next showing after the 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so we didn't get the one with 100 young girls. We just had this.
There were like 10 people in the theater, and the people behind us. There wasn't anybody in front of us, but behind us, they were all dancing and clapping and singing and going.
Well, they should be.
And going
Yeah.
And it was just amazing.
If we had known the songs, we might have been too. Again, Paul and Ringo, they're old. Bryan Adams and Tatum O'Neal, they're not that young either. But not only do they live large, they don't stop. They don't slow down. That's what I want. And that's what I want for you. It's easy to wake up and say, I want to sleep more. No, I'll sleep when I'm dead. There will be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. I want 5% more. I want miracles out of nowhere. I want to party. I want to celebrate. And I want that for you. Use whatever gets you there, whether it's dance or music or romance or concert films or sports or business. But do it. Life is just a party, and parties weren't meant to last.
Thank you, Prince.
Sure, everything is finite, but what matters isn't mortality so much as what you do with the life you have. The key to immortality. The objectivists all like to say, those who work for the future live in it now. No, that's not right. Those who... Yeah, those who fight for the future, living it now.
Living it today, yeah.
My point is the key to immortality is to actually live your life now. The past is just a memory. And the future is something you plan for, but it never actually arrives. All you've got is the present. So live now. Find your passion. Make your passion happen. Live your passion. Engage. Say yes to everything. Do not just live in your head. Be like those people that we used to criticize who don't really think about philosophy. You know, they just live. Live. The answer to pessimism, which I'm going to give over and over again, but because people are going to keep asking me, the answer to pessimism, philosophy. Philosophy is the owner's manual for life. It's not for politics, or not just for politics. It's not for answering what about the war, although it's great for that. Philosophy is the owner's manual for life. Use it. Use it to live. Live. Thank you for joining us. I want to wrap up because I do want to catch that 7 o'clock show with being a YBS supporter. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for the chat. Good stuff in the chat. I think I might have missed a couple. I will reread them. I can't believe Jim Ashley walked out on Animal House, but it depends on how old you were when you first saw it. Because if you saw it and you were already 25 or older, I might have walked out too. If you took it in when you were young, you can appreciate its finer virtues. Kidding, not kidding. But yes, thank you for joining us with 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
I want to say thanks. Thank you for being here. Future episodes of this show may include interviews, or we may expand them out to another day of the week. Any suggestions appreciated. Matthew Humphreys raised his hand and said, interview me. Let me know, because I'd love to interview
and Jennifer
you.
Too.
Oh, great. What would you like me to interview you with regard to? Just how awesome you are, or particular topics that you are interested in? Jennifer and I have talked about Rush, although we could easily do another hour talking about the band, not the Limbaugh guy. No, the band.
No, I mean you could definitely extrapolate on what key signature is going, is happening here, and the key change and the chords and this and that and the other thing.
Well, we could do that too.
Yeah, you could.
You should do that. A Rick Beato style music theory show. Let us know. Meanwhile, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you if you are a patron of the show. I want to give a shout out to those of you who do support what we do here on Sundays, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, which is now, once again, 11 o'clock in the UK, midnight in Paris. Did you ever notice that? We're midnight in Paris. Love that. But if you're not already a patron, but you want to be, you're like, oh man, I want to give those guys like $5 a month, $20 a month, $2 a month, whatever it is, robertnasir.com. There are links right there to our Patreon, and PayPal as well for one-time contributions. And with that said, what do I got? 90 seconds. With that said, I want to wish you every success that you so richly deserve. How do I know you deserve it? Because the ne'er-do-wells of the world, they don't listen to a show like this, and they certainly don't stick around for the full 5 minutes. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Amy, for being especially lovely. Your scarf is amazing.
I made it myself.
It certainly doesn't look store-bought. It looks custom handmade. Well, that's cute, too. All right, folks, we're going to let you go. YBS coming up in 60 seconds, and I don't want to miss that, but thank you. Thank you for joining us. As always, we wish you success. We wish you happiness. We wish you flourishing. Whole list of values I could give you, and at the very end, you know what I'm going to say, because it's true. We wish you love.